Namaste everyone. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Yenakshara Samamnayam Adhigamya Maheswara Krishnam Vyakaranam Proktam Tasmai Paninaye Namaha. Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakaram Cha Pranatosmi Munitrayam. So with that, let us get started. So I believe so far all the participants are from our Tridiya class. Nevertheless, let me just recap the context of this talk so that the expectation is made clear. As I was mentioning earlier, whether it is Samskrita Bharati series of exams or Sura Saraswati series of exams or other equivalent ones, we come across these Sandhi rules in the first and second levels and going forward higher Sandhis like Swara Sandhi, Vyanjana Sandhi, etc. And while learning this Sandhi, you can go by certain thumb rules, like, when this set of first letters come followed by another set of letters, then, replace it with certain other letters, etc. Right? But at the same time, I have also learned this Sandhis with another teacher here, where I go for purely for grammar, learning grammar purposes. So she has taught us using Panini Sutras. So then I felt that, with the Panini Sutra, it is very easy to remember, this kind of combination of different letters, etc. So with that purpose, and in our Tridiya class also, the sutras were mentioned, introduced. So people are curious to know what it is. So I thought I will just give some introduction on how we use it to interpret different sandhis. So I will, that is the primary background here. And with respect to Panini Sutra themselves, I'm not an expert, so let me take a kind of waiver at the beginning itself. I mean, I have studied some of the sutras primarily with respect to Sandhi as well as certain lakara like in Prathama Gana, etc. However, I'm not an expert in that, so I will try to explain as much as possible in this context and also answer your doubts to the best of my ability. And in this class, one more thing, because probably other people may be watching it later. For them, I'm not introducing Sandhi in a formal way. So certain understanding of Sandhi, at least exposure to some Swara Sandhi is desirable, so that you can understand what we are talking about here. Okay. Okay, now first we will start with Maheswara Sutras. I will read out the sutras. And one note, if you are joining from mobile phone, it may be a good idea to keep it in a landscape mode. Since I am presenting from my laptop, if you are keeping your mobile in a horizontal position, you may be able to view more content. Okay. Okay. Adha Maheswarani Sutrani. I unu ril rik e ong I ouch haya varat lana nyamanga nanama jabhanya gada dasha jabagada dasha kappa chata tava kapaya sasha sar hal iti Maheswarani Sutrani. So in this Maheswarani Sutrani, the Maheswara Sutras, the alphabets are encoded or enumerated in particular manner. The combination, if you see, initially it may appear as random, but as you proceed and understand the significance, you will know that it is done in a very intelligent manner. That also useful to be used in Panini Sutras later. Now, with these sutras, the 14 sutras, certain abbreviations can be formed, and they are called as pratyaharas. And these pratyaharas are used in Panini Sutras. And one more point to note is, from all the consonants, that is Vyanjana mentioned here, starting from Ha, the letter A is added. That is for the pronunciation purpose. Otherwise, you need to consider all of them as k, k, g, g, like that. We know that we already know that from our basic classes, because all these akara is added primarily to facilitate easy pronunciation. Now, this pratyahara, let us just take one or two examples. Many of you may have already been exposed to it much earlier. So I will just take a couple of them and give how to interpret it. So let us consider one pratyahara, ak. Ak. Let us say you are given this kind of a pratyahara, ak. So how do we interpret with respect to Maheswara Sutrani is what we need to see. So we start from the first letter. So what we need to note here is all the last letters in all the 14 sutras, they need to be considered as termination letters. And in the Panini Sutra context, they are called as it letters. It letters. So if you look at the first one, the nikara is an it letter. The next one, kukara is an it letter. Like that in all the 14 letters, the last one is an it letter. It letter is there only to indicate a termination. So they don't carry any other meaning. So for our rules, you need to ignore the it letter and take only the remaining one. So when I say ak, we need to start from the letter A and go up to the point where we get k as an it letter. So let us start from the beginning. A, I, U, R, R, K. So I have encountered K. So I will stop here. So I have to take the letters A, I, U, R, and R. So these five, so Ak actually gives me these 5 letters. And with that, one more thing we need to remember is, I will be reading that again with the Swaraksharas. A also indicates Haswa and Dirka. That is A and A. E and E. U means U and U. Like that for R also. R and R. So Ak actually gives me now 9 letters. A, I, U, R. So I have got 9 letters from Ak. So now that is why that is the benefit of this kind of pratyaharas and also sutras. So here quickly I would like to recall a small definition of sutra. So what is a sutra? Alpaksharaihi analpartam suchayanti sutrani. So this is what is said, that is alpaksharaihi analpartam suchayanti sutrani. So what is the meaning? Alpaksharaihi means it is a tridiya vibhakti bahuvajana. Alpam means less, we know that. So and tridiya vibhakti. So with less letters, analpartam, artham in this context is meaning. Analpam means many. Alpam is less, so analpam is opposite of that, many. So alpaksharaihi analpartam. So with less letters only, many or more meaning is suchayanti sutrani, conveyed by sutras. So that is why the sutras are very, very handy. So as I said earlier, again, when we go into Sandhis, you will realize that instead of remembering all the letters, first group, second group, etc., if you just remember one of the pratyahara, then it will become very easy to remember different Sandhis. And also not only Sandhis, the Panini Sutras cover a whole wide variety of rules in the grammar. So it will be easy to remember them. So let us take one more example. We commonly come in the Sandhis, we will come across, just. Ja means, the fourth ja, just. So I had to start from the beginning, first sutra only, and see where the ja is coming. So, and then I see that in the 8th sutra, ja is coming. So from there, I will pick up all the letters. Ja, bha, ga, dha, dha. Now you will see that they are all the fourth letter of each varga. And then I need to go until I come across Sakara. Sakara as the ith letter. That is the termination letter. So I continue. I have Ja, Ba, Ga, Da, Da. Then I come across Is. And then I stop. So now when I say just, I have third class of the Vargiya Vyanjanani and fourth class of the Vargiya Vyanjanani. So this is how the Maheswara Sutrani are going to be used. Now let us get into the Panini Sutras, the basic idea and the basic rules. So just for historical purpose, the story goes like, the Maharshi Panini came to somewhere in South India, settled there and did a penance of Lord Maheshwara. And as a result of it, Maheshwara appeared, that I'm not sure, but he was able to hear the sound of, the damaru of Lord Shiva, the damaru he will play, So from that sound, he came to know about this Maheswara Sutrani. And based on that Maheswara Sutrani, he, codified the grammar for Sanskrit. That is the story going there. So here, before getting into the Panini Sutra and explaining how it is going to be, let me read out a few rules that may be beneficial to you. So this one we have already seen. A single vowel generally indicates both short and long forms. I, unna. So A means A and A, dirka, Raswan dirka. And the somebody is doing some drawing. Clear that. Okay. The second set of rules that we need to remember is Vyanjana Varga, that is first Varga or second Varga, is generally denoted by Ku, Chu, etc. So wherever in a sutra you come across Ku, that represents the Ka Varga. So Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. All the 5 are covered by Ku. So if you are referring to Tu, that refers to the entire Ta Varga. Okay. The next is the very important rule, vibhaktis of pratyahara. So the pratyahara I already mentioned. So another common pratyahara that they are used is ach. Ach represents all the vowels and hal represents all the vyanjanaksharas, right? So whenever the pratyaharas are referred in Panini Sutras, they may appear in different vibhaktis. So so this is also expected as a background from the listener. So I am assuming and taking it granted that all of you know the vibhakti table, like for example Rama Shabda, Pradama Vibhakti, Dvidiya Vibhakti, etc. So when the pratyahara is mentioned in a particular vibhakti, that means something. Now, so what is the context here? See, when we are talking about sandhi or something similar to that, some operation is going to be done. Operation, I think sandhi is like, joining of two letters. So we already know Agama Sandhi is there, Adesha Sandhi is there. So replacement of some letters, etc. So that is what I refer here by means of operation, right? Now, if a pratyahara is represented in Panjami Vibhakti, the operation will happen after the set of letters indicated by that particular pratyahara. Just remember this. Again, it will be useful when we read different sutras. So if a pratyahara is given in Panjami Vibhakti, the operation that is to be done has to be done to the letter following the letters covered by the pratyahara. Okay, probably you may be a little confused here. You will be, things will be clear when we take an example. So just take it for granted for now. The next is Shashti Vibhakti. In this case, whenever a pratyahara is mentioned in Shashti Vibhakti, the operation has to happen to the letters indicated by the pratyahara. So, which means the Shashti, whatever letters are mentioned in Shashti Vibhakti, those letters get affected as a result of that particular operation. All right. Next is Saptami Vibhakti. If a particular pratyahara is mentioned in Saptami Vibhakti, the operation happens before the letters indicated by the pratyahara. Now, let me, I have mentioned that for Shashti Vibhakti, I have mentioned Ikaha as the example. Now, Ikaha, what is Ikaha? We have to look. Where I will cover that in detail in the following this one. But Ikaha is the Shashti Vibhakti representation of Ik. So if you consider Ik as a Pratipadikam, the Panjami and Shashti Vibhakti will come as Ikaha. Okay, so this is also an example for Panjami Vibhakti. As you know, for most of the namas, Panjami and Shashti Vibhakti, Ekavajanam comes in the same form. So to that extent, from the context, you have to understand whether it is Panjami or Shashti. So I have given this as an example for Shashti Vibhakti over here. And for a Saptami Vibhakti, I have given example as Achi. So the Pratipadikam for Achi is Ach. So whenever you see Achi, you have to take it as the operation happens before the Ach letters. So in the meaning of different sutras, it will be mentioned as Achi Paradaha or Achi Pare, like that. So whenever, that is the two ways of mentioning that. The operation happens before Ach letter, or operation happens whenever an Ach letter is following, right? So I have one letter. If it is followed by Ach letter, that means before Ach letter, right? Either way, it is your point of view. If your reference point is the operating point, then you have to say Ach is following. So if your reference point is Ach, then you have to say the before. The operation happens before the Ach letter. So here, any doubt till now? Okay, then we will continue. And the one more basic idea that I want to mention is the inheritance from previous sutras. Inheritance is the only apt word I could find from English. But it may not strictly mean inheritance. What I wanted to mention is that few rules will be borrowed from previous rules. So many sutras inherit certain conditions or rules from previous sutras, and they are mentioned as anuvritti. So some example probably we will see as the time permits. So here the example that I have given is the Chutva Sandhi and Shtutva Sandhi. So in our class, we have seen that the Chutva Sandhi is the Panini Sutra for that is Stoho, Chuna, Chuhu. The meaning of this we are not going to look at right now. So this is the sutra for that. And the next, and as you can see, 8440 is the sutra number for Stoho Stuna Shuhu. And Stuna Stuhu is the very next one, 41. But here, the sutra mentions only Stuna Stuhu. Whereas the Stoho part is inherited from the previous rule, which is 8440. So the complete sutra is Stoho Stuna Stuhu. Fine. And this is referred as Anuvritti. So when you look at, we will look at ashtadhyay.com where the sutras are mentioned. So this inheritance part is referred as Anuvritti. Now let us take an example. First we will take the Yan Sandhi and then the Jastur Sandhi as example and see how it works. Again, until now, is it fine with everybody or any question?
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
You have mentioned on the Vibhakti, Panchami, Saptami, how it works, and further you will be giving it.
Yes, the Shashti and Saptami I will be explaining when I am taking example of Yan Sandhi and Jastur Sandhi.
Okay.
So there I just wanted to share it as a thumb rule, but the how it is actually used, I will be talking about now. Okay, so let us go to the Yan Sandhi. I'm sure all of us are familiar with Yan Sandhi. For the letters E, U, etc., the substitute of Ya, Va, Ra, La happens. So the sutra for that is Iko Yanachi. So we need to remember one thing. In sutras directly, they would have already applied different Sandhi rules. So that is why it appears as Iko Yanachi. Now, how did Iko Yanachi happen? Just like we do for different sloka, we do Padacheda. We have to do a Padacheda and understand what are all the constituents of the sutra, constituent words of the sutra. And then for each of the word, in what vibhakti it comes, or what is any other, the apparently hidden meaning. You have to extract all of them and then make out the meaning of the sutra. So, Iko Yanachi, if you really look at when you do the Padacheda, you will get it as Ikaha Yan Achi. Right? So, Ikaha followed by Yan, the Sandhi applied here is, Ukara Adesha Sandhi for Visarga. So, the A followed by Visarga followed by a soft consonant, the Visarga becomes first U and then it becomes O. So, that is how it has become as Iko Yan. Right? So when you do Padacheda, we get three words here, Ikaha, Yan, and Achi. The next step here is to understand the vibhakti of that. So I have indicated here, Ikaha is Shashti Ekavachanam, Yan is Pradhama Ekavachanam, Achi is Saptami Ekavachanam. Now let us try to remember the rule I mentioned earlier. So, before remembering the rule, let us, decode the word Ikaha, Yan, etc. Ikaha is derived from Ik. Ikaha is derived from, let me get one pen here. Ik. Ikaha is derived from Ik. Now, how did you get Ik to Ikaha? That is something, when you do the vibhakti of Halanda Namapadas, then you will know that Ikaha stands for Panjami and Shashti vibhakti. So the basic Pratipadikam is Ik. And from the Pratyaharas, we know that Ik stands for E, U, R, and R. Now, Yan actually is only in the Pradhama Vibhakti, and Yan Pratyahara stands for Y, V, R, L. And similarly, Achi. Achi is derived from the Pratipadikam Ach. So ach becomes achi. So ach represents all the vowels. Now let us look at the vibhakti and the meaning. So ik is mentioned as ikaha shashti vibhakti. So shashti vibhakti, I said, whenever a pratyahara is mentioned in shashti vibhakti, the operation that is to be done happens to that letter, in that location, in that place, right? So whenever, so which means in this case, if you have any of these letters, then the operation will happen to these letters. So if you have E will be replaced or by something. How it will happen, we will have to see further. But operation happens to this location. Now, achi, saptami vibhakti, I mentioned that whatever letters are mentioned in saptami vibhakti, the operation happens before these letters. Right? So the operation have to happen before these letters. Now we see that there is E and E common here. Right? E and E common here. So whether the operation will happen at E or operation will happen before E, there will be a doubt. But that will be further clarified. When you look at the meaning of it. So whenever these ach letters are followed, whenever ach letters are followed, ik letters will be replaced. Whenever ach letters are coming after these ik letters will be replaced. That is the meaning of this Sandhi. And replaced by what? That portion will be mentioned in Pradhama Vibhakti. As you can see, yan is in Pradhama Vibhakti. Pradhama Ekavachanam. So all the yan letters, ya, va, ra, la, will come in place of e, u, etc. Right? Correspondingly, it will come. So that is the meaning of Iko Yanachi. So now let us look at the Sutrartha. Ik varnasya sthane sware pare yan varnadeshaha bhavati. So as you know, the Sanskrit letters can be reordered. So let us read it like this. Ik varnasya sthane yan varnadeshaha bhavati. That is, wherever ik letters are there, yan letters will come as an adesha, replacement. Under what condition? That is where the sware pare. Sware pare means ach pare, right? So ik letters are there in one place and they are followed by ach letters. Then ik letters will be replaced by yan letters. That is the yan Sandhi. The exception to this one is also mentioned, will be mentioned as an interpretation of the sutra. So here the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi is the exception to this. That is, if ikara is followed by another ikara, then the yan Sandhi will not happen. However, the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi will happen. So here are some examples. Dadi plus atra. So ikara will become yakara, yikara actually, and then dadyatra. Similarly, vadhu, the ukara will be replaced with vakara. So vadvadeshaha, pitricha, and r plus akritihi, lakritihi. So any doubt on this part until now? On the yan Sandhi and the corresponding sutra, how the sutras are applied, etc. If not, we will go to the Jastva Sandhi. Let me zoom it a little bit. So under Jastva Sandhi, in fact, what I find is there are two sutras to be referred to. In many other books, like our textbook sutras are not referred. They refer to only one sutra. That is the second one, the Jalam Jasonte. But that alone is not sufficient. That we will see why. These two sutras combined together form the Sandhi called by Jastu Sandhi.